Well, I absolutely love doing this every single time we do it. We've done it, I think, for 3 years now. I've done it since 2020, that back when this channel used to be called Fast Break. I always enjoy doing this. It's fun to make some predictions. Just a little recap. Back in the 2020 draft, I believe I had Justin Jefferson to the Philadelphia Eagles. Wouldn't that be great? So yeah, let's get into it. The Chargers are the first pick. Let's play the music again. 22nd pick in the NFL draft. Los Angeles Chargers take Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver out of Ohio State. The Chargers last year ranked 9th in wide receiver core. I could also see them taking a running back at this part, whether it's Henderson or Hampton, depending on who's available. But in my mock draft, I do have Hampton and Ashton Genty off the board already, so I do not think the Chargers are going to be taking this route. Instead, I do think they are going to take a wide receiver because they desperately need a wide receiver, and they desperately need to help out Justin Herbert, because all he has is Ladd McConkey. That's it. And we saw what that turned into in the playoff game against the Houston Texans. It was bad. But Egbuka is known for his smooth and intelligent route running. He consistently creates separation both in zone and in man coverage. He's incredibly dependable over the last 2 seasons. Egbuka maintained a catch percentage of above 93%, as well as a 29.8% target share on third down, which is top 30 nationally. So you know he's going to be one of the key guys on third down and in the red zone potentially. And I think right now he has the capability of lining up wherever he wants to, whether that's outside, in the slot. And here's a big thing. For a offense led by Greg Roman, who is heavy on the run, and Jim Harbaugh, who is known for his ground and pound and heavy defense, Egbuka is actually a willing blocker, which is going to be massive during those outside runs. So I got the Chargers drafting Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver from Ohio State at number 22. Let's go number 23. The Green Bay Packers select. I got Kenneth Grant, defensive lineman out of Michigan. The Packers last year ranked they are the 24th graded run defense in the NFL and 17th ranked pass rush defense. Grant has a size of 6'4", 331, which should be great at stopping the run, as well as consistently anchoring the line and effectively handling the double teams and maintaining gap integrity. He has a tremendous IQ and awareness on the field, which gives him the ability to read offensive schemes and adjust in real time. And with veteran Kenny Clark, as well as up-and-coming Devontae Watt, I think Grant could be a serious plus to the Green Bay Packers defense, who, by the way, may need it, actually, because who knows what Jair Alexander, that situation could be. They could potentially pick a quarterback in this one, but I do think having that consistent pass rush is going to be a massive help, and you get a future depth piece as well in Grant. So that's my pick for number 23, Kenneth Grant to the Green Bay Packers. Number 24, the Minnesota Vikings. Who do they select? I got Malachi Stark, safety out of Georgia. With Harrison Smith nearing the end of his career, the Vikings should be looking towards the future and find a good replacement, and that, I believe, at number 24 is Malachi Starks. He has excelled in various roles of Georgia's defense, including single-eye safety, nickel, hybrid, safety linebacker, and he's 6'1" and 197 pounds, which I think could be the ideal fit for a Brian Flores defense that is extremely aggressive, that is extremely versatile, and requires every single player to be at the very tip-top of their performance. Because last year, how do we really get to know this Minnesota Vikings team? Oh, they had one of the highest blitz percentages and highest pressure rates to begin the first 8 weeks of the season, which allowed Sam Darnold to operate at a relatively decent level because their defense would be shutting down the opponent's offense, giving Sam Darnold and that offense more time to work. So, and also, by the way, how about just strictly performance last year? He was top 10 in tackles, missed tackle percentage, and forced incompletions, which, again, I think fits beautifully into the Brian Flores system. So I do think Malachi Starks, pick 24 to the Minnesota Vikings, safety out of Georgia. I think this is a great pick for the Vikings. Number 25, Houston Texans. I think this one should be a little bit obvious, but it's a question of who are they going to choose? And I think the best choice is Gray Zabel, offensive tackle out of NDSU. After trading away Laramie Tunsil, the Texans need an offensive line badly. C.J. Stroud was getting absolutely killed behind that offensive line, which ranked 21st in pass blocking and 25th in run blocking. So it helps out Joe Mixon, helps out C.J. Stroud, helps out the entire offense. The one issue with Zabel is the fact that he doesn't have great length, so the Texans may move him inside, but they could also use help for it because they lost Shaq Mason, and Laken Tomlinson is not a great addition, and also Juice Scruggs being the starting right guard. I don't love that whatsoever. But again, it's the same argument for me about Will Campbell. How do you do actually production on the field? Because that's what I care about. I care about the production. Well, he was one of the most consistent offensive linemen in 2024, tied for 5th in pass block efficiency in 970 snaps last year. He allowed 1 sack, 2 QB hits, and 4 quarterback hurries. I'd say that's pretty good for a guy who has basically no length to be an offensive tackle. That's where he played the entirety of 2024, and those were his numbers. He's also a 2-time FCS national champion and earned first-team FCS last year, All-American honors in 2024. So I care about the production more than about the measurables sometimes. Will Campbell's considered the best offensive lineman in this draft. He's projected to be a top 4 pick, and people care about his arms. If this guy doesn't have great length, I care about the production. He was great. 1 sack and 970 snaps. That'd be pretty good for the Houston Texans, so I have him. Gray Zabel, offensive tackle to the Houston Texans. Number 26, the Los Angeles Rams. Some could argue this might be a reach, but I don't think so. I think they desperately need this position. I do think he's the best one at this position. Given my mock draft previously, I think that's Trey Amos, cornerback out of Ole Miss. The Rams secondary has faced many challenges in recent seasons, particularly with depth and the level of consistency at this particular position. And Amos would provide an immediate reinforcement along with long-term obvious stability because super young guy, rookie, playing on his rookie contract, get him at the cheap. And if he is a premier pick, which he may very well be, I think you get him. This would be a beautiful pickup at number 26. He has the ability to excel in both press man and zone coverages. He's 6'1", 195. He ran a 4.43 40 at the combine. He has also a 10-foot, 6-inch broad jump. Massive guy. Agility is incredible. He has strong route recognition and is great at reading the quarterback, which obviously you read the quarterback's eyes. That generates turnovers. That generates pass breakups. So I think it'll be a massive piece for a Rams cornerback group that has not been great since Jalen Ramsey left. And hell, who knows? Jalen Ramsey may return to the Los Angeles Rams because Miami wants to get off him. But in 2024, Amos allowed a 51.6% completion percentage to only 280 yards. He did allow 2 touchdowns, but 3 interceptions, and he was number 1 in the draft class amongst cornerbacks in forced incompletions. So this guy's a pass breakup machine. Rams desperately need a defensive back. I think Trey Amos at number 26 is a perfectly fine pick. Let's go to the next one. Number 27, the Baltimore Ravens. Who do they have? I got Donovan Ezeraku, edge out of Boston College. The Ravens don't have many holes on their roster. Their defense was ranked very highly. Obviously, the offense with Lamar Jackson and as well as Derrick Henry did a phenomenal job. I know Mark Andrews kind of ended the season on a drop pass, but I do think that Ezeraku could be a perfect pickup for the Ravens' defensive line because he has a proven ability to disrupt the backfield, which makes him a valuable piece within Baltimore's pass rush, which could help raise it to a whole nother level if you have that young talent, because look at what Jalen Carter did to the Eagles' defensive line. It raised it to a whole nother level, and we saw that in the Super Bowl. But yeah, Ezeraku has shown a great ability to be a traditional defensive end as well as a stand-up edge rusher. So he has that versatility. He has that skill set to also play both sides. He is slightly undersized for the position, though. It's 6'2", only 240 pounds. But he makes up for it with just his elite hand usage, flexibility, and motor. So he has the skill set. Again, I care about the production. I don't care exactly about the measurables. Because if your production outweighs your measurables, I'm not going to focus on the measurables as much. But guess what? His production on the field matters way more to me. And I think right now he's best suited for a system like Baltimore's, which let him shoot into the gaps and attack rather than just anchor and read and run plays and dissect. Just have him blitz. That's all you have to do. I mean, Kyle Van Noy, who's a mummy, just put up one of his best seasons statistically on the Baltimore Ravens last year. So I think he'll be a beautiful piece for this Baltimore Ravens defense. And last year, again, I care about the production. He was tied for 3rd in sacks amongst people in his position group. Number 1 in QB hits. Number 2 in run stops. Again, I care about the production. What do you give me? Measurables are one thing, but if your production outweighs them, I care more about that. 2nd in run stops, number 1 in QB hits, tied for 3rd in sacks. That's what I'm focusing on. I got Donovan Ezeraku, 27 to the Baltimore Ravens. The next one, Detroit Lions. Had a difficult time picking this one, but I do think I'm going to go with James Pierce Jr., edge out of Tennessee. The Lions' defense has struggled mightily down the stretch. That's just strictly due to injuries. At one point, they had 22 players on IR, and they still won games, were 15-2, but then the injuries finally caught up to them in the playoff game against Washington, where they absolutely fell apart. But I think with Aiden Hutchinson coming back, the Lions should look to add another edge rusher so you can't exactly double Hutchinson all the time. You could rush 3 or 4, and if Pierce and Hutchinson are on that defensive line, you could generate a lot of pressures and really put the quarterback backtracking. What am I trying to say? Backtracking, that's what I'm trying to say. Backtracking and backtracking, keep him off his balance, really pressure him into making those bad throws. So we could see Kirby Joseph come up with a bunch of picks again. Brian Branch capitalized on those plays. Pierce has a very explosive first step and the ability to pressure the quarterback, which makes him a massive piece, like I mentioned, to a culture with Dan Campbell and a defensive team, which, by the way, may look very different because you lost your defensive coordinator, you lost your offensive coordinator, you reposition a bunch of your coaches. So if you could just have consistent play, you don't necessarily need to dial up the most beautiful scheme. Just have your guys blitz. Just have Aiden Hutchinson do his thing. Have James Pierce absolutely torment the opposing offensive line. He had one of the highest pass rush win rates in college football last year. He was top 20 in sacks, hurries, batted passes, and run stops. He's 6'5", 245. So he has the size to be a tremendous disruptor and the speed and athleticism to improve a Detroit Lions defense that was already okay in rushing the quarterback, but now adds a young level, a less injury-prone, hopefully, level to that Detroit defense. So I got James Pierce Jr., number 28, going to the Detroit Lions. Let's go, number 29, Washington Commanders. Who do they take? There's a lot of positions, I think, because, again, this is another team that doesn't have a lot of holes, but I do think there is one that they need more than anything, and I am going to take Nick Emanwari, safety out of South Carolina, to be that guy. I think, honestly, at this pick, I think he's a pretty premier choice for the Commanders. He was 6'3", 220, ran a 4.38, broad jump of 11 feet, 6 inches. I mean, the guy's athleticism, the guy's ability to run, to do a broad jump, all of it. It's a great look for the Commanders if they somehow get this, and I do have Emanwari falling to the Commanders here. He had 244 tackles, 6 picks, 11 passes defended, and 2 pick sixes over 3 seasons at South Carolina. He has a phenomenal capacity to operate effectively at both the deep safety position, 2 high safety, or closer to the line of scrimmage, playing in that nickel spot. So he has the ability to play in a lot of positions, and the Commanders could use that boost on defense because we saw against the Eagles, they couldn't overcome their mistakes on offense. When they kept fumbling the ball and the Eagles were capitalizing on it, the defense couldn't do a single thing to slow them down. The Eagles' defense in Week 1 against the Green Bay Packers, Jalen Hurts couldn't stop throwing interceptions, possession after possession early in the game. But it was the Eagles' defense that turned touchdowns only into field goals. So instead of being down 14-0 early against Green Bay in Week 1, they were only down 6-0. So if the Commanders could capitalize on that in an increasingly difficult division, with the Giants should be getting better, the Cowboys I think are going to be a little bit better because Dak's going to be healthy, and who knows what their draft's going to look like. The Commanders need to, keep going of the course here and maintain the level of consistency. Because last year we were shocked when they went 12-5, NFC Championship game. They need to just maintain that level of just destruction. With Jaden Daniels in his second season, we all know about the sophomore slump. If you have a great defense, let's just say Jaden Daniels doesn't play that well, but yet your defense improves drastically, well, then you maintain equilibrium there. Because Jaden Daniels playing out of his mind, the defense was good. If Jaden Daniels plays a little bit worse, you need the defense to pick it up, which I do think Emanwari could definitely do for them. In 2024 among safeties, he was number 1 in tackles, 3rd in missed tackle percentage, 9th in run stops. He gave up 0 touchdowns and picked the ball off 4 times. So with a guy of his skill set who can play multiple positions in the defensive back, whether it be deep safety, 2 high, closer to the line of scrimmage, the comp around there is Jeremy Chin, who they actually lost in free agency recently. So you have that sort of value. Number 29, you get a tremendous safety. I think this is going to be a great pick for the Washington Commanders. I have Nick Emanwari going to number 29 to the Commanders. Number 30, the Buffalo Bills. Who do they got? You have this guy being drafted much, much earlier. So if he falls to them, I do think this might be actually the best value pick in this draft, and that's Luther Burden. Luther Burden III, wide receiver out of Missouri. And this is why I say he'd be the perfect pick for the Bills. The number one thing people know about Burden, it is his exceptional ability to gain yards after the catch. The Bills' number 1 receiver was Khalil Shakir, who was 3rd in YAC last year, which Josh Allen in this system kind of needs to do. Because they did a lot of short passes, gain 6 yards, 5 yards, 6 yards, 7 yards. Those little chunk plays, sort of the dinks and the dunks with Josh Allen running. His ability is tremendous, as we all know. Amari Cooper didn't have the impact that I'm sure some people thought going over to the Bills. So instead of Deshaun Watson or Joe Flacco or any one of these bad quarterbacks that the Browns had, you put him with a serious quarterback in Josh Allen. He had his worst statistical season of his entire career. So that's not a great look, and I think adding a wide receiver now, like Burden III, to the Buffalo Bills will be massive because he could play from the slot, he could play out wide, he could play multiple positions, he can create separation and make plays after the catch, which gives Josh Allen a very reliable target within this system, within Joe Brady's system, and especially with James Cook right now on a holdout, you're going to need more of a passing game because James Cook was a vital part of this offense, and if you want to expand it, I desperately think you need to be drafting a wide receiver here. But I really think that the Bills, again, don't have a lot of holes. I checked out their defensive depth chart. You don't really need a starter anywhere there. You re-signed Tre'Davious White not too long ago, but I do think that adding Burden would be a massive plus for the Bills. You desperately need that X factor. Keon Coleman you got last year. He didn't really have a massive impact on the game. He was decent, but he's not one of the top-tier premier receivers like Brian Thomas Jr. was, Malik Neighbors was. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. had a bigger impact than Keon Coleman did. So I think adding Burden to Keon Coleman, who's extremely young, to Khalil Shakir, who's a yak monster, James Cook, Josh Allen, that offensive line. I mean, Bills are going to be top of the AFC East again. Can they finally beat the Chiefs in the playoffs? What more do the Bills need? Now, I'm going to say this, and people might not agree with me. It's the head coach. That's my opinion. It's the head coach. So who knows? Maybe drafting Burden will make that not true. Number 31, Kansas City Chiefs. Who do they draft? This was a top 10 pick for you, and I'm falling to 31st, and that's Josh Simmons, offensive tackle out of Ohio State. Obviously, the Chiefs need better offensive tackles. It's really just that simple. The Super Bowl exposed Juwan Taylor and Joe Thuney's inexperience at the left tackle position, which obviously the Eagles took advantage of. Juwan Taylor, penalty galore, not a great offensive tackle, and Joe Thuney was playing out of position. So the Eagles absolutely tormented them. Now the Chiefs did get Jalen Moore in the offseason, but he, I think, is more of a project and not a proven tackle for the Chiefs. You can get a guy of serious talent. You have him as the number 10 pick, going over to the Chicago Bears. So if you get him 21 picks after that, I think that's pretty good for the Kansas City Chiefs, in my opinion. I do think, though, Simmons could provide some stability that Mahomes desperately needs. You need help at the left tackle position, because right now you have a left tackle playing guard. You franchise tagged Trey Smith, Creed Humphreys there, but you lost Thuney. I would not trust Juwan Taylor anymore. So you desperately need that stability at the tackle position, and Simmons could definitely give you that. But here's the big thing. If you prefer left tackle, well, you have Simmons there. If you want to bench Juwan Taylor, well, guess what? Simmons also has experience at the right tackle position. So he played both over his collegiate career at San Diego State as well as Ohio State. Now, he did suffer a knee injury for the 2024 season, but is expected to be fully healthy and have a full recovery in time for training camp, so that shouldn't be an issue. He has a tremendous combination of athleticism, technique, versatility at multiple positions. He's a very high upside prospect in this draft, and I think with the Chiefs system, with Patrick Mahomes at quarterback, I think Simmons could be a vital piece, a crucial piece to put the Chiefs, I know they were just there, but get them over the hump and win yet another Super Bowl. I think Josh Simmons to the Chiefs. If he falls, just look out next season. Just look out next season. All right, number 32, the final one for me, the Philadelphia Eagles. Who do they get? Interesting pick for me. I got Michael Williams, a defensive lineman out of Georgia. The Eagles are known for prioritizing that defensive line. Look at Jalen Carter. Look at some of the picks they made. Milton Williams was a big choice for them last year. He was a massive one. He let him go. So you need to actually replenish his spot on the defensive line, and I do think that Michael Williams will be that guy. He's going to be a long-term answer, and especially with Brandon Graham also retiring, you're going to need somebody at that position to fill in those holes there, and I do think that Williams will be the guy. He's 6'5", 260 pounds, and I think that is actually the perfect size for an edge rusher there. 6'5" is going to be a massive coming off the edge. He has a wingspan of 82 5/8 inches. He has very, very strong hands, which will be a huge X factor in the pass and the running game as well. And he has one of the most violent club moves in the combine, and also an arm over / swim or rip move that really nobody could truly handle. And with an explosive first step, this Eagles defense, which was already number 1 in the NFL last year, you did lose some key pieces, but if you could replenish them instantly with some very vital picks, In Michael Williams, defensive line out of Georgia. Those are the final picks I have. I do have him going. Number 32, Michael Williams. That's my final pick of my mock draft. We'll be recapping on Friday's show the picks we got right, the overall draft, because that's Thursday. That the first round ends. This is what we're doing. So, those are my final 11 picks of the 2024 or 2025, NFL draft.